Welcome back to Windows into Ethereum. Today's episode is language. Language is defined as a system of communication between a particular country or community. So most sci-fi and urban fantasies use just standard English, but some high and epic fantasy actually use custom languages. Most notably the Elven language from Lord of the Rings, developed by Tolkien. But there's an interesting middle where some people have managed to work around by using specific accent. A fantastic example being DC in the use of Ma'ars. Martians have different inflections which change the way that certain things like names are pronounced. But how much of a language can you change? Some parts of language are more customary than useful. A fantastic example is small talk. How are you is usually used as a greeting more than it is an actual question on your well-being. And if you poke around a little bit more, some languages exempt or add things that make languages a little bit more convenient. Like there are languages that gender objects and there are languages that don't have gender at all. There's some languages that don't even have plural. Some use different sounds like whistling and clicking. There's so much you can do with language. Simplify it, make it worse, add slang, add things that are more customary than useful, add things that once had meaning but were now lost. There's even bits of language that are particularly religious, but are so ingrained in the culture that even people who aren't religious use it. So let's break it down further. What makes up language? Phonetics, which is how the language sounds, and phonology, which is pretty much everything else. If it's tonal, if the way that you say it changes what word it is, what letters you have to stress, if it changes a word entirely, how it's spaced, is it character or letter based? All languages have rules to follow to make it consistent and predictable. Another interesting route you can go is to not even have a written form of a language. To this day, there are some civilizations that have been considered by historians as underdeveloped or not as intelligent because they didn't have a written form of their language. Words are not the only thing that can make up a language. Some languages include things like clicking or whistling, and some languages can sound really close to other languages or may have a letter or a character that is slightly different or particular to that language, like the traditional Nawa language that uses the sound, Mandarin with or the Japanese with D. I am by no means a linguistics expert, so I can't be the one to help you out with that journey in particular, but I hope I can give you some idea of incorporations into language. And because language is unfortunately not my strong suit, make no mistake that making a language is a really big undertaking. I don't usually recommend it unless it's completely necessary, but if you do decide to go on the journey, I recommend researching a lot of linguistics or finding somebody who specializes in that, and be okay with how long it's going to take you. Thank you so much for watching. Up next is hierarchy.